You do everything you're supposed to do. You work, you budget, you save, you avoid stupid decisions. And yet, year after year, life feels more expensive. Not because you're reckless, but because your money quietly lost ground while you were being responsible. Here's the part that feels wrong the first time you hear it. Saving money can make you poorer over time. Not suddenly, not dramatically, slowly, silently, almost politely. And that's what makes it dangerous. Picture this. You open your banking app. Your balance is higher than last year. That should feel like progress. But then you check rent, groceries, insurance, transportation. Everything costs more. You didn't lose money, but you lost power. This topic matters right now because more people than ever are doing the same thing at the same time, holding cash, waiting, staying safe, and wondering why it still doesn't work. To understand what's happening, we need to break one belief, the belief that money automatically holds value. It doesn't. Money is not value. Money is a ticket that lets you claim goods and services later. And that ticket expires a little every year. Not officially, not on paper, but in reality. Here's how. Every modern economy expands the money supply over time. Governments spend, banks lend, central banks intervene. New money enters the system constantly. This isn't hidden, it's policy. Now here's the key question most people never ask. If more money exists, but the amount of real stuff grows slower, what happens to each unit of money? It buys less. That's inflation. But inflation isn't prices going up. That's just how you notice it. Inflation is the quiet shrinking of what your money can command. Let's simplify it brutally. Imagine an economy with $1,000 total. You own 100. You control 10% of everything. Now fast forward. The economy expands to $2,000. You still own 100. Nothing was taken from you, but your share dropped to 5%. That's the trick. Your number didn't change. Your position did. And savings accounts freeze your position in time. They don't move with the system. They sit still while everything else drifts. This is where people get confused, because your savings account grows, just slower. If inflation averages 4% per year and your savings earns 1%, you lose 3% purchasing power annually. That doesn't sound dramatic until you stretch the timeline. Over 10 years, you lose roughly a quarter of your buying power. Over 20 years, nearly half. Your money didn't vanish, it just aged badly. Now here's the irony. Saving feels safe because it's stable. No market swings, no red numbers, no headlines screaming panic. But stability is not protection. It's just quiet. And quiet losses are harder to notice than loud ones. This wasn't always true. Decades ago, money expanded slower. Assets were cheaper relative to income. Interest rates sometimes beat inflation. Saving actually worked. Today, the system is built differently. Cash is no longer rewarded for patience. It's penalized for stillness. And this isn't a conspiracy, it's a design choice. Modern economies depend on movement, spending, borrowing, investing. If everyone hoarded cash, the system would stall. So instead of banning saving, the system gently discourages it. No alarms, no warnings, just math. And most people don't notice until years later because the balance keeps going up, which creates the illusion of progress. But progress isn't measured in numbers, it's measured in what those numbers can do. And that gap between what money shows and what it buys is where people fall behind. In the next part, we'll look at why this gap keeps widening, who benefits from it, and why playing safe now carries a risk most people never factor in. Because the real danger isn't losing money, it's trusting money to behave the way it used to.
Now let's talk about who this system quietly favors. Because whenever money loses value, someone is gaining something. Inflation doesn't hit everyone equally. If you live off wages and savings, inflation works against you. Your income updates slowly, your savings barely move. But if you own assets, things that rise with inflation, the story flips. Assets don't just sit there, they adjust. Homes get more expensive, stocks reprice, businesses raise prices. Debt becomes easier to repay with cheaper money. This is why you'll hear something that sounds absurd at first. Inflation hurts savers, but it helps borrowers. If you borrowed money years ago, inflation quietly reduces what you owe in real terms. You pay back yesterday's dollars with today's weaker ones. That's not cheating, that's how the system is wired. Now, look at this from the outside. One group is told to be patient, save, wait. Another group is rewarded for participating early, owning, leveraging, risking. And over long periods, the gap grows. Not because one group is smarter, but because money behaves differently depending on where it sits. This is where the hype breaks down. The advice sounds clean and responsible. Just save more, cut expenses, don't take risks. But the math doesn't care about discipline. You can save perfectly and still lose ground because the system isn't neutral. It has a bias, and the bias favors movement. Now, here's where people usually push back. They say, so you're saying saving is bad? No, saving is necessary. Cash is oxygen. It's for emergencies, for flexibility, for sleeping at night. The problem is confusing liquidity with long-term protection. Cash protects you from short-term shocks. It does not protect you from time. Time is the real enemy here, and time always sides with inflation. This is why the danger is so subtle. Nothing breaks. There's no alarm, no moment where someone says, "Congratulations, your savings just lost 30% of their power." It happens gradually, so gradually that people blame themselves instead. They think they didn't save enough, didn't work hard enough, didn't start early enough, when in reality, they were running on a treadmill that slowly sped up. And here's the part almost no one talks about. This creates psychological pressure. People feel forced to take risks they don't fully understand. They chase returns. They jump into trends late. They swing between fear and hope, not because they want excitement, but because standing still feels worse. That's how trust erodes, not all at once, but drip by drip. Zoom out far enough, and this isn't just personal finance anymore. It's social. Whole generations grow up feeling like the rules changed mid-game. That stability is gone. That doing the right thing no longer guarantees progress. And when money stops making sense, people start questioning everything else. Institutions, policies, promises. Now pause for a moment. This isn't a call to abandon saving, or to blindly invest, or to gamble. It's a call to update your mental model of money. Money today is not what money was. Treating it the same way leads to confusion and quiet loss. Because in a system designed to keep moving, stillness has a cost. So here's the unresolved question. If holding cash slowly makes you poorer and chasing returns exposes you to risk, what does financial safety even mean in a world where money itself is unstable?